Are we on? Yes, we are. Jason, welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's fascinating, as I was saying to you, hearing your voices. You're usually coming through my headphones, not through my speaker here and staring at you. But Jason, mate, it's a real pleasure to have you on. And I've wanted to have you on, and you're an inspiration to kind of why I started the podcast. I guess you and as you were talking before about Tony Ruggiero. And yeah, it's just really cool to have you on. And let's give a bit of a plug straight up. So it's Golf Guru TV that is called. Tell me, where did you come up with the name? Where does Golf Guru come from, that nickname?
Golf Guru TV is just my handles. That's not the name of the show. Is the Golf Guru show.
The Golf Guru, yeah, but you call it Golf Guru TV, yeah.
So the nickname came when I started teaching full time after being an assistant pro and a head pro, and finally figuring out what I was really passionate about, which was teaching and helping people. I started at a golf school, top 25 golf school in Charlotte. Yeah. And, just like all of us when we're getting into it, it was like my whole world just opened up, and I was just so excited that like I didn't have to worry about anything but like just getting better at coaching and teaching and honing my craft. So I'm just reading everything I can get a hold of. I'm walking around quoting every single probably golf book that I've ever read, and doing all these programs and personal development stuff. So one of the teachers that I was teaching with, we had like 8 to 10 instructors at a time there at the golf school. It was a big golf school when they were popular. And he just started calling me. He's like, man, you're like the golf guru. Like, how do you know all this stuff? And I'm like, I'm reading. I'm learning, I'm trying to get better. And it just kind of stuck. And yeah, it's funny because, nobody calls me by my real name anymore. Like the members call me Guru. My kids call me Goo for short, or the Roo. But I mean, it's just, it just became, my nickname. And then obviously I turned it into my brand, which is, Golf Guru, which kind of worked out pretty nicely. And all my friends in the teaching business usually just call me Guru.
I love it. Well, I've spent a lot of time in the East, Jason, and Guru. I spent a lot of time in the East, and, we have people over there, the holy men, we call them Bubbas, right? So in India, they call like Baba. So if you meet someone like, say, for instance, an inspirational teacher of mine is like Ram Dass, we call him Baba Ram Dass, what we did before he passed. But so you call these guys Baba. And one time I called one my guru, and he said, hey, I'm not your guru just yet. I'm not in that. You can just call me Bubba. So I can't
say that I'm super like comfortable with it still. You know what I mean? I know it kind of brings on an expectation of, I had a student come in the other day, a new student, new member. And he's like, so what makes you the guru? That's a fantastic question. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty good at what I do, and let's see what happens. And you can choose to call me whatever. But, I've had a few people are like, what do you mean you're a guru? There's just a nickname and it's stuck, and
it's cool.
Here we are, 20 years later.
Mate, I'm into it. What do you think led you? Can you put your finger on what led you to being extremely passionate about diving into the information side and making sure you're fully equipped when it comes to coaching? Do you know why you were kind of going that step further than what maybe your peers were doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I just think I was always competitive. I mean, I was a really good baseball player growing up, obviously a decent golfer, but I'm in baseball and in basketball were like, my best sports actually. I got into golf a little bit later, like 11 or 12. Yeah. But I just think whether it was my parents that instilled in me, like, whatever you're going to do, you just want to be the best, right? It's like, I just wanted to be, and I still say that I want to be the number one. I want to be ranked number one in the world, right? I mean, whether I get there or not, it doesn't matter. All I know is I'm going to do it. I'm going to work my ass off, but I'm going to do it the right way, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to put other people down. I'm not going to, how we get with some of the instructors, arguing online, right? I'm going to do it the right way if I get there or not. But if I don't, I know that I've done everything I can to be the best version of myself. Yeah. So I just think I'm just a super competitive person. So I think whatever job I ended up in, I think I would have been the same way. I'm just going to like dive into getting as much information as I can and just trying to be the best. And I just love what I do. And I know you do too. It's just like we're dealing with people. Like I'm just always been super fascinated with why people behave the way they do. What, human behavior, drives their life. And then obviously rolling that into how we teach golf and how to get them to play better. It's all part of it, right?
Yeah. And it's a real privilege being a golf coach, I believe. Like, for instance, we see how much people love golf, right? They are watching golf. They're talking about golf. They're looking at the latest products. They're watching stuff constantly on social media. And, as a golf coach, it's extremely important that when that person gets on your tee box or comes into your studio, that you have to be giving them as much as you can in regards to, your output. And, we've all heard stories about some coaches kind of like leaning on the 7-iron and not paying too much attention or not using the necessary tech. And, it's a real shame. But I think people who are, graced with your presence when getting a golf lesson can feel that energy, right? And they know that you're giving that 100%. And, like you say, you might not be number one yet, but there's a good chance that you will be. Tell me,
number one in South Carolina, so I've got one state.
Hey, you took my little hook in there. We're talking about podcasting before, so I was going to go into that. So I've noticed over the last year, looking at your socials, obviously I'm all the way over here in Australia. I've seen you been winning some awards, and there was a week there where you went on some crazy trip, flying here and speaking, and then accepting an award here and then speaking. Can you tell me about what's happened over the last 12 months? Have you had a lot of recognition lately?
Yeah, that was really the last 2 years, because I'd won. I've pretty much won every award I can win in our section. Yeah, I won Teacher of the Year in 13, Horton Smith Award in 15, and then I think this was the Strauss Ball Award was last year, or I guess 2 years ago, that they give it to you the year after. Yeah. So our awards dinner is like the first night before we have like our big week. We call it's like our merchandise show for our section, and then we have our teaching summit, and I'm the chairman, so like I kind of like have to be there. Well, I got asked to speak at the Sun Country section, which is in New Mexico. And it just happened to be the Monday, because it's Sunday night was our awards dinner. So I was like, I don't know, man. Like, and it was a friend of mine. He's like, I really want you to come. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do it. If you can get me from Greensboro, North Carolina to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then back the next day, then I'll do it. And so that's what I basically did the awards dinner. I got up at like 3 a.m. the next day, caught a flight. Couple connections to Albuquerque, did like a 3 or 4 hours talk. Yeah. Got back on the plane, did the red eye. It was like 3 or 4 connections back to Greensboro. And so I was on a plane all night in airports, and then got back and went to our teaching summit, which I wanted to support. My great friend had just won Teacher of the Year, and we let those guys speak. So that was I don't think I'll ever do that one again. Yeah. That was crazy. But the last year was the big one, as I won Golf Professional of the Year, which is kind of unheard of for a teacher to win that award. Usually it's like a head pro or a director of golf that wins that award, right? So it's about sort of your culmination of what you've done education-wise, providing education, but also mentoring, and then, your service to the section. So that was like the icing on the cake, and that was what I got this past year. So that was really, really special. Yeah. Congratulations, man. Thank you.
Hey, does that mean over there at Colleton River that you've just bumped all the fees up, mate, because you've got all these awards? Or what?
Oh, there's going to be a price increase this next coming year for sure.
Good on you.
I'm way too low.
So you coach out of Colleton River Club there, right? And I see that you're coaching like club golfers all the way through to Will McGirt playing on the PGA Tour. What type of, like, from a golf coach asking you now about how you operate, do you do the one-off individual lesson, or are people on types of programs, or what does your coaching look like in a week?
Yeah, I've kind of scaled back. I was before on my previous job when I was at Carmel Country Club, another great high-end club in Charlotte before Colleton. I was doing a lot of long-term sort of, I call like mixed programs where you have, private lesson package rolled into like supervised practice, group stuff. So it was almost like a team atmosphere. But But with the Carlton River situation, it's a little different because there's a lot of transient members. There's a lot of members that it's like a second or third club to them. So they're not there year round. It's tough to do something more than like 3 months. Yeah. So I do some clinics. We do like a golf 101 and a golf 201, which is like an 8-week program. And then I do like a ladies clinic every week. So yeah, but for the most part, I just do kind of old school packages now, right? I've kind of reverted back to what I used to not want to do. Yes. So I just do a 5 hour, a 12 hour. And then I guess the one thing I did bring from Carmel is I do an unlimited package. It's only 3 months. Yeah. But it's super intense. It's like a tour player package. But I've had beginners. I've had like higher handicappers do it. You just have to get the commitment to where it allows me to spend more time on the golf course with them. Yeah. We'll do like I'll structure it. I don't let them come every day. You don't need to see them every day, but I'll see them twice a week. I'll see them one hour for like skill acquisition and then 2 hours on the golf course. And they love it. Yeah. So if they're going to be there and they can actually commit to it and take advantage of it, I'll sell that. I sell a very limited amount of those, but they're great. So that's kind of what I do.
It's interesting you say that. I've got a like 1% program, which is a like a 6-month commitment. A lesson every 2 weeks, and then we go on the course every 3 times over that 6 months, and then we have Zoom calls to kind of talk about their training plans and stuff like that. Now, and I get them invited to my subscriber. I do like webinars and stuff, and I get people on there, or I'll talk about subject areas to get them invited in all of that. And it's interesting that I've really enjoyed it. But someone the other day inquired about it again. And I said yes because I'm just a bit of a pushover, but I thought I've got too many, like not like brimming out, but it's this, when you're dealing with those types of students, is a real responsibility from you. You can't just put them through your diary and forget about them or, go away. Like there is that responsibility that I'm going to be here as much as I can and be present for you. So yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. I used to like my previous job, I had a staff. I had like 2 teachers that worked for me. So I was kind of responsible, and I wanted to help them get their books full because they were newish teachers. And my idea was, and I got it from Scott Calix actually. He's like, "Why don't you just sell unlimited plans?" I'm like, "That's brilliant." So we did 3, 6, and 12 month unlimited plans. I mean, we were absolutely jammed, right? Yeah, because everybody was loving it. Because you don't need, because it's kind of like, I want to teach everybody, but honestly, if we want to be perfectly honest, we want to teach serious golfers. Yeah. Right. I want the guys that are dedicated to like working on it and practicing and keeping stats. And like, I don't care what handicap you are, but you can be a serious golfer and do it the right way. So I tell them like the long-term stuff is the way to go. I give plenty of 30-minute lessons because I got an older demographic membership. They can't last an hour. That's fine. Like you gotta be adaptive to who's in front of you and their time and their commitment level. I mean, we're competing with pickleball and canasta and all this other stuff that, they're doing. Like, I'm good with that, but I would love to have just a small group of just intense, guys and girls that just want to get better, and I'm good. Yeah, I agree. I think what you're saying there is spot on, but the dedicated golfer really gets you up a little bit more. I'm not saying that I don't get up for everyone, but when someone rocks up, it definitely gets you more passionate, right? It's like, because you're a team, right? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what I like about it is that they generally take responsibility for their role within the partnership too. It's not, right. I'll find the dedicated golfer, even if they finish the session and, the 2-hour session or whatever it is, and they're quite not flushing it, but you give them the right training plan. I always think, oh no, I hope Brett comes back okay. I'm a little bit worried about that. I'll chase up with him. And then you open your phone the weekend and they're like, oh, I just had my best score. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's because they did it. But with the non-dedicated golfer, I feel like I need to nearly have them hitting it better, like making sure it's really good by the end.
Yeah, and that's a mindset. You got to coach that, right? You got to teach people to have the proper mindset of learning, because golf's hard, man. Golf is a difficult sport, and it's not my joke is, somebody asked me a stupid question, like, let me just get my foo-foo dust out and just sprinkle it on you. You're going to be great. Like it's not that easy, right? Like you got to do the work. Yeah. So, and I always call them just the best learners are going to get that.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to keep talking about subject area, but I think I might have even heard it on your podcast with Butch Harmon, or it might have been on Tony Ruggiero's. I can't remember, because you listen to so many, right? You just forget where they were. Right. But, he was talking about when one year, I'm completely paraphrasing here and probably butchering the story, but he said that he coached like Tiger Woods to a major championship. He had like Adam Scott at the top of the things, top of the world rankings. He had like an abundance of golfers, right? And he was really at the peak of his powers. And then he went and gave a lesson to, say, Bob Smith, a club golfer. And he went past him, you know, in the locker room or something. He said, "Oh, Bob, how'd you go with the lesson?" "Oh, it didn't work. It didn't work, Butch. I just threw it out, went back to my old swing." And Butch, like, you know, he speaks the truth. He kind of was saying in the story, like, he scratched his chin a little bit and went, "Hang on. I've just got Tiger. He's just won like back-to-back major championships. I've just got Adam Scott who's doing all this, and Bob Smith says it doesn't work."
Everybody gets fired, dude. It's just, I mean, that's something I've had a hard time dealing with over the years with tour players, and even, you know, anybody, right? College players or juniors that leave us. It just happens. Yeah. It's not, you know, whether it's the parents or whatever, it's a whole nother subject. But I mean, it's just, you just kind of got to have a little more thick skin. I've never had that. I've always been such a people pleaser. Like I really let it affect me. But now I'm just kind of like, hey, if you can look in the mirror and say you did your best, you can always go back and say we made some bad decisions here and there. But, you know, as long as we learn from it, and, you know, people are going to break up. I mean, shoot, Mark Blackburn's gotten fired and hired back. You know, Homa's back with him now. Did you hear that? It's like,
is he?
Oh,
I didn't know.
I saw, unless it was fake, I think he is. But I mean, you're never too good to get fired. It's just part of the business.
I tell you, talking about that, we're getting fired by tour players. Like I have just, you know, I don't discount who I've got, my tour guys, but they're not on like the big tours. They're hanging around the Australasian tour or secondary tours everywhere. But I listening when I had Jerome on my podcast, and I spoke to him about the longevity. Jerome Thusis, I always pronounce his surname wrong. Belgium coach, and he coaches lots of them, right? Like Thomas Dietrich, and he's got Adrian now. And he raised a good point with me in regards to, I asked him about the longevity he's had with his players, and he said to me, he's very honest with them. And if they feel like they don't have the answer, they go together to try and find the answer. And he spoke about a couple of circumstances where they went and saw, you know, a couple of high-profile coaches and just went together. You know, what are you saying? We're trying to do this, trying to do that. Yeah. Because just because he might not have had one answer at that point in time doesn't mean he's a sackable offense. You know, like he's had 1 million answers for you over the past few years. Yeah. Let's go together to try and find this one problem that we're not getting solved. And then I don't need to sack you, you know, essentially. So I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah,
it doesn't happen very often, but yeah, it's smart. And guys will, you know, like we were talking about earlier, specialize in other parts of the game. And I'm very fortunate, you know, a great friend of mine that teaches here, Tim Cook, awesome coach, got tons of tour players, and he sends me a bunch of his kids and tour players for putting, right? Like, and he doesn't have an ego saying that he doesn't know it all, and I might be able to help him better that part of the game, but we're such a great team. Yeah. Like, I think that's brilliant.
Fascinating. Yeah, I think we need to be better at it. We need to be better at it and not as worried about losing the students or them being too worried to. It's also about that relationship about where they can be as honest with you as possible, right? No, mate, it's more brutal when you're an online golf coach, mate, because, Jason, what happens is you just open up your thing and it says, Jason Sutton has unsubscribed from your plan. You're like, oh, brutal. And it's like, and now some other coaches complain about, you know, wanting to find out the reason, and then they'll put the reason in there, but I don't think they see they don't know that you see the reason. So it's like,
no, that's the thing. It's like most, you know, I just respect the ones that actually tell you they're leaving. Yeah. Hey, call me, you know, even if it's a text message. I've gotten fired plenty of times over text message. That's cool. Yeah. But don't just leave. Yeah. And show up on somebody else's Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, that pisses me off. But more
brutal. You're scrolling through and just say, oh, no.
There's my guy. So, or whoever. But yeah, so it's, you know, it's part of it.
Hey, how long have you been coaching for? And who would you say your main mentors, like, have they evolved and changed over the period of your coaching?
Oh God, there's so many. Gosh, this is good. Cause I mean, I started coaching straight out of college. I mean, I wouldn't call the first 7 or 8 years of whatever I was doing any good, but I mean, it's 33 years now, 34 years. I mean, straight out of college, right? So, but I'd say, once I went through the whole assistant pro route, couple clubs, and then I was a head pro for 3 years, and then got out of that and started teaching at the golf school I mentioned, like Dana Rader. She's top 100 coach, legend in the teaching game, was probably my first mentor.
Yeah.
And she taught me so much, and it just gave me a chance to just teach a bunch, and, created that environment where I could learn and grow and really do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But golly, I mean, the list is long of, I call them mentors and friends, but golly, I mean, John Tattersall, I mean, you can kind of like segment into, different parts of the game, but a lot of the people that I've had on the show, I mean, I'm a big fan of Chuck Cook. It's like the guys you admire, obviously Butch. Jim McLean's been great to me.
Yeah.
I never worked for him, but I actually, spent a lot of time with him. I actually got to go speak at his legendary Monday meeting last year, which was kind of cool. Cool. Full circle moment, because he was one of the guys that sort of inspired me as I first started teaching full time. I mean, golly, with putting, definitely John Graham is like one of my best friends. That's influenced me more than anybody. Phil Kenyon, David Orr, short game wise, James Ridyard's a great friend. Learned so much from him. I know Joe Mayo really well, as you know, and as influence. It just, you kind of pick different things out of, all the people that you spend time with and are happy to share their information and, travel around with. I mean, that just shows how old I am. The list is probably over 100 people that have helped me. Scott Calx. I mean, golly, I mean, it's just, who knows? I mean, there's a lot.
What about any of the systems like Stack and Tilt or Morad or Golf Machine? Have you kind of dived heavy into any of those? Yeah,
I mean, I never got certified in Golf Machine, but I read the book early on, didn't have a clue what it said. Yeah. It's kind of like when you're depending on the place that you're at, when you're in that sort of learning phase early on, it meant nothing to me. Then I picked it back up years later, and it made more sense. Then I got to mention Chuck Evans was one of the early adopters of the Golf Machine, and he kind of laid it out there in like layman's terms for me, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And then farther down the line, you start understanding some of the terminology, like the accumulators and flying wedges and things that sort of, okay, this sort of sounds like golf, and that's a lot of the stuff that Calx talked about in his early certifications. I never like, went and spent any time with Mike and Andy, but I'm telling you what, like, I think they got a bad rap in, the early days of when the book came out, and then the articles. And, I think Mike and Andy are, they're just brilliant minds in golf instruction.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I was the first, it's kind of like, I always tell people, don't start bashing something until you clearly understand it. Yeah. And that was a very good example of that, because at first I was like, this is crazy, because it wasn't anything I was teaching at the time.
Yeah.
But once I started diving into it, I picked up a bunch of videos where they were doing coaches clinics over in Europe that I got from a friend of mine that he'll remain nameless. And I was like, holy shit, this stuff's really, really good. It makes sense. Like a lot of the pieces. So I teach, again, it's like what the player needs. There's still got to be some pieces in there if that's the prescription that you need for this particular golfer. I learned a lot from Mike and Andy for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I reckon if you bump into someone and they start giving it a hard time, they haven't looked into it enough, or they don't know what they're talking about. Because I felt that, when you say it got a hard time early on, for listeners out there, when we're talking about Stack and Tilt, it did. It definitely did. I remember going to golf seminars as a really young coach, and even my own ignorant self was given it, I wasn't saying it publicly, but just going,
you were thinking it. Yeah, I was the same way.
So I'm not really a confrontational type of guy. But no doubt, the more you get into it and the more you learn, hang on, this guy's actually a bit of a genius, right? He knows what he's got. And I have often thought at times, which I want to ask you next about through my coaching career, like I've had a lot of success when following systems a little bit more like that. When I've not going to say pigeonhole someone, but like say someone needs, the stack and tilt type of model in regards to low point control. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like after 5 lessons, this person's really starting to show some shape because of the systematic approach that's kind of happened towards getting there, so, but yeah, into my next question with you, if someone was to get a golf lesson off you now or come to you for advice like a tool play, what would be different about coming to you now compared to coming to you 15 years ago? What's changed in you?
Oh gosh. I mean, just my whole general knowledge base is, I feel like I've evolved so much just through the research and education and stuff I've done. And then just, thousands of hours in the trenches, man. It's like, if you're not learning, you're not paying attention, right? Just all the mistakes that you make that, you learn from. And again, it's, 15 years ago, I didn't have a lot of stuff that I have now technology wise to measure. But as we talked before, like measuring, it's fine. But if you don't understand what you're looking at, it's useless, right? So I feel like I'm very versed in, in Putt Lab and in TrackMan and GC Quad, and I've got, smart to move force plates. I mean, I've got it pretty much all covered, and but I don't use that on a student until I thoroughly understand the information and what I'm looking at. Right. So, because we're still trying to be, we want technology to make us more efficient, not less efficient. We don't want it to take more time. So I would say, 15 years ago, I was probably a little less patient. I probably talked way too much. I mean, just this mistakes all young coaches make. I think I'm a better listener now. I'm a better problem solver now for sure. I'm more, I guess more adaptable to different personalities and, being able to deal with different types of people, which I think is massive in our profession. So, I mean, just everything's just gotten better, right? I mean, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? It's like I've done the work and I've just worked my tail off and made a bunch of mistakes, reflect, figure it out, try to do better, surround myself with really great people. Like I said, the people that you spend time with and shadow and talk to and ask for advice. I mean, it's just all that, right? I mean, it's just, after a while you start to figure some things out and you get a little bit better at it, and we make it look easy, right? It's like when, the shadows come to watch me teach and you're like, oh, well, I can do that. No, you can't. No, you can't do that yet. You're not quite ready to do that yet. It's just like an elite athlete in the golfers on the PGA Tour. They make it look easy. No, it's not easy, right? So it's all the time they put into it makes it look that way, but so I don't know. I'm not sure that's a great answer, but
no, it's a good answer.
We're better. We've evolved, right?
I'm going to say that for me, like if I was to, ask myself that question, was I reckon 15 years ago for me, you probably would have got probably too heavy golf lesson around the biomechanics and probably told too much around about certain specific points in your golf swing. And the last 15 years, I've seen what my good players have done to get better. And I've probably learnt on what it takes to get better now, and what a student is doing. And I feel like I spend a lot of my time talking to my students, like an in-person student yesterday was like just dragging the ball and he hit 5 balls in a row. And I'm like, we didn't do one practice swing. We've done one move, what we're working on. I said, let me tell you this. When I have a professional golfer come in, I feel like we talk about it, we have some advice, we get in front of the mirror, we talk about a few things we want to get done, we write it down. I said, I reckon I can make a cup of coffee in between each golf shot, because they take so long. There's got to be some
spacing, right? Yeah, that's very important.
And I say, when I see poor golfers try to get better, they just
100%
hit quickly. So I feel like I spend a lot more time now explaining to people what you actually have to do to get better. It involves starting your day every time doing this little type of recalibration move. It involves this move. It's not just full swings working on X. So,
no, it's rehearsing, right? It's like if you watch, I mean, McGirt's classic, I mean, he never hits a ball without walking behind it and going through a little routine or doing some rehearsals. Like it's automatic. It's like brushing your teeth. Like he never, ever hits a ball. Like I teach his son that's 12. He's a really good player and going to be a great player, but we're trying to get him to do that. Like just copy your dad. Like just watch what he does. So he doesn't sit there and whack it and like, you know, stand there to the side of the ball and hit it again. He always walks back. It's just like an automatic machine, and they all do that.
Yeah.
Right. But the average golfers don't observe that. You know what I mean? Like they can't even make a proper rehearsal swing without like getting a ton of coaching before. So, I mean, honestly, a good golf lesson, you don't have to hit a whole bucket of balls.
No.
Right. If they got the plan and they've got the feels and then they got the rehearsal, then, you don't have to hit it. Get 2 balls in the air like a lot of them do.
And that stuff you can get done for free, Jason. Like my
100%.
wife can walk behind a ball and look at what she wants to get done. Like she doesn't know how to hit a ball. She could do that, or she could get in front of a mirror and make deliberate rehearsals. Like it's something that everyone has the opportunity to do. And I have a student who'll be listening to this now, and I was talking to him about it yesterday a lot. He came for a couple of hours, and he's like, I hit 200 balls. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'd rather you hit 50 balls over the day. I don't need you to hit 200.
Yeah, with some structure.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Will McGirt. Let's kind of slide in there. So PGA Tour player Will McGirt. How long have you been with him for?
4 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how's things going? I saw you kind of let the little bit of a post on your Instagram. People, if not following you, make sure you are. Put your link down below. What's going on? What have you found? Can you share something with us before you have your teaching summit, or when you're going to go talk about it? What can you do?
Yeah, we were talking about putting, right? So it's kind of ironic again because I call myself a part-time putting coach just because a lot of people come to me just for putting, right? So I don't want that to be my complete niche. I want to be well-rounded, and that's kind of what led me down the rabbit hole 15 years ago with putting, and I feel like my stuff holds up pretty well. And again, I've learned from a bunch of the top coaches, but we had like our worst year putting since we've worked together, which really, I took it personal, and he, obviously he's pissed. So it's like, full swing is great. I mean, he's hitting the ball as good as he hit it in 2016 when he won the Memorial. I mean, it's like, we're kind of half, foot in the door. It's just like if he had a few more putts this year, I mean, it would have been, a whole different scenario for our season. Yeah. So, where do you want me to start?
Well, tell me, when you say putting, I talk to people about putting being I have putting schools, but like it's whole game. So is there a particular area of the putting? Like, is it lag putting, short putting, or is it just strokes gain number you're looking at, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at stats obviously every week, and he's kind of in that, because he's older, he's just turned 46, kind of late in his career, still has a ton of game, but he's still in that sort of past champion reorder category. So the way they're shrinking the tour now, with the fields getting smaller, letting a lot of the kids PGA Tour U and all these guys come in, so he's on the wait list. He didn't get in as many PGA Tour events this year, so he had to play a lot of Korn Ferry events, which, as you know, the courses aren't going to be as manicured. Greens are much slower typically, so we really struggled on slow greens. But I mean, I think that's not an excuse, right? It's like everybody's got to play them. Somebody's shooting 30 under, right? Every week, somebody's shooting 25 under, so somebody's holding putts. They're not hitting in the grip, hitting it in the grip every hole. Yeah. So he had a little break after his last event, and I'm just digging because I'm a big putt lab guy, and and I understand the hierarchy of like what's really important in putting, and I think I kind of lost that. And this is a great lesson, I think, for the coaches out there or just players in general. Is and sometimes it's like we listen to our players almost too much, right? So he's been out there on tour for 14 years. He's very sort of set in his ways, right? So he never really practiced the way I like to have my players practice. So I just kind of let him alone because he used to be a great putter, right? I'm just sort of like taking it for granted, like, okay, go do your thing. You know, he's got a couple of drills that we would do some drills when we were together, but I'm just saying away from me, he wouldn't practice the way I would like to see him practice, which was more on touch, you know, more on pace, stroke, putter speed, and so forth. So I did a deep dive into his stats on Putt Lab, and we got 4 years of it. And when we first started working together, he's actually a way better putter than he was this year. That's what really bugged me. So I'm like, man, he was really the speed of his stroke was way different. The length of his stroke was way different. You know, everything else, he's kind of got a little tiny loop in his stroke, which whatever, you know, hits it on the top of the face, ball rolls nicely. So we spent way too much time in the last year or year and a half working on stroke shape and how the ball was going to roll. Okay. And I'll give Sasha McKenzie a little credit here, as I heard him on a podcast not long ago, and he was talking about his research and about what really moves the needle in putting. Right. It was two things. It was touch and it was face control. That's it. Right. Yeah. Hitting it a little bit with some backspin. No. Path direction. No. Right. So it was all face and basically putter speed. Right. So
interesting.
I just said, all right. And I had kind of a come to Jesus with Will. And I'm like, dude, here's what I'm thinking. Like, we've got to get back to getting the flow back in your stroke. We got to work primarily on touch. And you just got to trust me on this, because we've been way too into the mechanics of what the stroke looks like, how the ball's rolling. Like, because he was kind of, a lot of tour players are very obsessed with making the ball roll end over end, right?
Yeah.
It's not as important as people think. I'm just going to say it. And that's what Sasha's research, came out. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I've just been kind of going down spend too much time in the wrong area. Okay. Yeah. So in the last 2 weeks, I literally, all we did was touch drills, right? So I'm big on what I call just intentional distance choice, right? So I use like poker chips, ghost holes. I'm a big fan of like not using a real hole for most of our practice. Yeah. Okay. And we talked about, and I know you had Jake on the pod, and he was sort of talking about what you got to teach them, like what creates putter speed. Okay. Because one of the biggest misconceptions in putting is that you need to hit through the ball. Putter needs to accelerate through the ball. And that's what all average and club golfers do out there. And that's why they suck. Okay. So the good putters are actually building the force and building the energy in the backstroke, whether it's the length of the backstroke and or the speed of the backstroke has to match when the thing comes out of the top of the backswing. I want that thing to be at least 5 millimeters per squared or seconds per squared, so that thing can basically fall into the golf ball. And once collision happens, the thing stops, right? So you're going to see a lot more long backswings, short follow-throughs, or more equal distant follow-throughs than anything on tour. You got a couple guys that kind of over-accelerate, but they're outliers, right? Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we start doing that, and I'm like, look, I need you to take this thing back way bigger, a little faster, and I just want you to feel like that thing's just falling into the golf ball. And then here's the other thing that we did. And I had done this a little bit before, but didn't stick with it. Again, it's just like sometimes you just need somebody to hit you over the head and go, just get back to what is correct. So Sasha also did, a big study on heads up putting. Right. And you'll kind of notice it once you see the Instagram post that I put out there. So I'm not going to tell them to do heads up putting. Okay. But I really like it as a practice drill for somebody that gets two stroke conscious. Okay. And that's where we were. Will was getting too conscious on like how the thing was going back, how much the face was rotating, how the ball was going to roll, how much shaft lean. That's what we were kind of thinking about. So I had him hit some heads up putter, but I wanted a lot of variability as well. This is good for your listeners and coaches. Yeah, is not the same putt. I'll let them hit 5 putts in a row the same. Okay. If they can stop it at the same spot, poker chip, ball mark, whatever, then you can pretty much reverse engineer and say that putter speed and ball speed was pretty darn close to the same, right? That's the key to great putting. Okay. So then I had him basically hit a couple of putts heads up. And I literally said, I'm like, you're going to think I'm out of my freaking mind here, but just trust me. and he hit a couple putts, and he's like, man, that feels pretty good. I go, all right, here's how we're going to incorporate it into your rehearsal, right? Because what happens is when you get putters that get too stroke conscious, eyes are down way too long, by the time they give it that last look at the hole, they've completely forgot where the hole is or what the picture should look like, where the ball should stop, right? So getting people to actually look at the intention behind the hole, focus on that. And I told him, like, who's one of the best putters ever? Aaron Baddeley, right? He's probably got the quickest trigger once his eyes are back to the ball. Sometimes he hits it before his eyes are back to the ball.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to lose that picture or be able to paint that picture. And a lot of people are better than some. Yeah. So we started incorporating that last look. So one, I had him taking his practice strokes, his rehearsal strokes with his eyes up. That's number one. Yeah. And I've done this for more players. You like that? Yeah.
Oh, so huge.
Right.
Huge.
So he's basically pointing, shooting without thinking about his stroke. All he's thinking about is how long and how fast the backstroke is. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And he told me, he goes, I feel like Patrick Cantlay right now. And I'm like, perfect. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, I literally want that thing swinging back, and I want it just falling into the golf ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the feedback that I've gotten from him already, he's like, pro, like, I feel like all I'm doing is focusing on touch and speed, and I feel like my old self again. I'm like, let's go. Now, again, don't throw a party yet. We haven't put it into play, but I'm telling you the results. But it's like, I told him, it's like building a muscle, right? And the people don't want to do these little things when they practice, even tour players. Yeah. If you practice on your touch more, as opposed to sitting there hitting 6-footers on a Vizio mat. And I want that a little bit, like 10 minutes, but not for 2 hours. Guarantee you, the green reading starts getting better. Yeah. All I'm doing is trying to stack the deck in their favor of letting the hole get in the way of the intention and the curve. That's it. Yeah. That's kind of my blanket philosophy. But it's been super cool. And he even told me, because we have such a great relationship, and again, and he's taught me so much just from working for him about little things, his feels and whatnot. One thing we figured out, can't believe I'm giving you all this stuff.
It's all right. I got a couple follow-up questions.
This is great. So, this is what I'm going to talk about at Pinehurst this weekend. But I'll paint the picture for the player, right? Which means that, like, just say I have a right to left putt, and you kind of draw out the anatomy of a putt, where the ball is going to stop, entry point, drop point, apex, or whatever you're going to want to draw. I don't like apex really. So anyways, when he would have a right to left putt, and I'd put the poker chip to the left, because entry point's going to be whatever, 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yep.
It would start to draw his eyes over to the left, and he would hit left. Okay. So what we started doing, and this is, again, I just learned this past week. Wow. We would put it at the correct place, but we'd also put a poker chip directly behind the hole. So once he would paint the picture, he just looked behind the hole and he just let it go. And it made all the difference. I've never experienced that. I need to talk to JG about that to see if he's ever had a player that do that, but that was like, so same way the other way is, like, he would start drawing. He's like, no, don't put the poker chip over there. Even though it makes sense to paint that curve, we had to put it behind the hole, and he could paint the picture, and he would just hole and putts from everywhere.
That's There's so much we don't know about the eyes. Like Dr. Brett McCabe, you listen to the podcast talking about that picture. You kept talking about the picture a lot. And then I think about, you're talking about Aaron Baddeley withdrawing his eyes and how quickly he would go. But I even use Aaron Baddeley in my putting school, because people say, oh, Aaron Baddeley goes real quick. And I say, yeah, but you don't see the preparation he does before. Like, he takes a long time. But Jason Day, Cam Smith, the same. Like, they're staring at the hole for that. It looks like the TV stopped. They're just like...
It's a real look. You know what I'm saying? Like, most people just kind of glance. Like, it's an actual, I want them staring. And that's why I do so many things without the hole, because it's amazing. Even with good players, like, I can get them to roll it up there by a poker chip, no problem. As soon as you add a ghost hole, they start leaving it short, because something just popped in their head, or they got to make it, or they got to hole it, or they got to whatever. So the more you can train without a hole, I'm telling you, you start to get your mind to think differently. Your eyes and your focal, your focal looks and everything gets different, but it takes time. Like you got to build that muscle of getting in that process of getting their eyes to go behind the hole, or because everybody leaves them. I got a mini tour player, great player, just started working with, leaving everything short. I'll throw that poker chip like 3 feet by, and I'll go, all right, let's vary our capture speed, knowing that when he plays, he's not going to hit it that hard. See what I'm saying? So I'm just pushing that limit to where he can go, all right, now he'll settle into a foot past the hole. So it's just like little tricks like that are just things you kind of pick up along the way. But variability is huge too. Like I was talking about, like variability in your training is huge. Like I'll do same intention of poker chip and do 5 different lengths putts, right? So they've got to change variability. And then you do the opposite. You can actually go same putt and then have them hit at 3 different speeds and try to make it. Like all those little things. I mean, all they're doing is just like, building that in their DNA and their instincts, so when they get under the gun, they can trust it. Yeah. Because you got to pick it out, right? You got to match up whatever your intention has to match up with the line.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest. I'm sorry.
No, it's fantastic. But I had Craig on from Draw More Circles, data scientist, right? Fascinating. And he got, the amazing project where he took that lady to world number 1. And he spoke about her putting practice. She never putts to a hole. He never has a putting to a hole.
Love it.
And he's a mathematician, he's a data scientist nut, right? And he was involved in the statistics of helping her, and her training plan should never putt it to a hole. And yeah, I hear the success. I hear you talk about it, and I still hear him talk about it, but I still not contextualize it, but it's still it's like, what do you mean we don't do this? And
as a player, we want to make everything right. So my players get tired of me saying, stop trying to make putts. Stop trying to make putts. Take care of your things you can take care of, which is your intention, your distance choice, read the green, your start line, and your touch. If your touch is good, the hole is going to get in the way more times than not, or more times than you was before when you're just sitting there trying to hold putts and leaving it in the jaws short or missing it low or whatever. I'm telling you, it's a mindset. Yeah, your philosophy has to change, but it takes time to train that. It doesn't happen in one lesson. And I do a minimum of 2 to 3 hours for a first, putting lesson for a tour player, because I'm just driving this stuff into them.
Okay, so I could talk about it all day. Follow up question to the Will McGirt thing with the eyes up. Did you get him on Putt Lab? Was it when he was doing the eyes up?
No Putt Lab. We intentionally avoided putting him on Putt Lab.
I want to
going straight away from I don't want him thinking about numbers. I don't want him seeing data. Yeah. I don't want him seeing anything. I've basically brainwashed him back into being an athlete. Yeah. And again, the feedback he's giving me is exactly what I want to hear. Hey, bro, I feel all I'm focusing on is touch and the ball. And he goes, and the ball's rolling better. I'm like, perfect. That's a bonus. Cause that's, he's obsessed with that. Right. So he's rolling it better. I'm like, I don't care, but that's cool. Cause that gives him confidence that the ball's rolling. But I mean, I'm telling you, if we can continue to do this, we've done 5 hours in the last week.
Wow.
Of just this kind of training.
It's interesting because when you have the eyes up putting, I guess there's the fear around the variability, from a player or myself, you want to be, because if I'm not looking at it, I'm not controlling it, So it's 100%. This, I want to control it. So, and I was interested to know about the stroke length variability if we had his eyes up. But I'm sure, an amazing PGA Tour winner, is going to be very, very consistent. But it's one of the things that I'm
filming him, right? So I'm filming him, and that's a good question. I'm filming him. Yeah. And I told him, I got the camera on him. I want to see whether his rehearsal swing matches his actual swing.
Yes.
Right? So it's getting very, very close together now. I'll show it to him, and he's like, oh, that's great. And the flow is back. I'm calling it flow 2.0 or something. I can't remember what I did my Instagram post, but it's it's unbelievable because, he's always been a great putter. All I got is we just got to get back to what made him great. And that's on me. I take full credit for not thinking about this earlier, but he's been on the road and it's been kind of tough because I don't travel with him that much. So it's just, we're in boot camp right now.
I tell you what I could be better doing as myself as a coach, Jason. I've often thought about this. I've had times with some players, they're elite players, but, scratch markers or playing, tournaments or whatnot. And I come back to me and they're a little bit off with their training because they're workers or whatnot, or, college or studying. Golf is not going to be their full-time sport, but they still want to be good. And I had one the other day and I was like, geez, I remember, I swear. I was like, when did you win that event? When did you win that amateur? What was that? He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, let's find out. Google it. All right, November 23. Let me go back to November 23. Hey, hang on. This is when you're flushing it. This is what you were doing then.
Yeah.
Let's stop beating around. I need to have on my coaching tool, like you've got McGirt today, right? Obviously you've had a landmark week, right? You'll be last week in October 2025. It should be could be a folder, go in there.
Yeah, I just I don't delete anything. That's the thing. Yeah. I got so many videos on my phone with my juniors and my kids, my college kids. It's I can always kind of go back and go, all right, he was playing great here. Let's see what he's doing. And I got it on TrackMan too. You're right. It's you just got to save it for you never know when things get off the rails and you can kind of go back and check it out. But yeah, we all need to get better at that.
I'm going to actually have to ask you one more question on putting before we move on. This brings us to the one of the sponsors of the podcast, Back to Basics putting mirrors, designed by Grant Field and Richard Woodhouse. Obviously, Grant Field is a coach to Cam Smith. Has a 15-degree putting arc on there for you to look at, and it has your face angle that you can see from above. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with it.
Tell them to send me one.
They will. Use code TM15 to get you 15% off. Link is down below. In the Back to Basics putting segment, Jason, you've given me so much knowledge. Have you got anything else? What is your number one putting tip, or can you share something with us that will make us a better putting coach or a better putter? What could we do?
I mean, I still think that probably what I mentioned before was just working on trying to stop the ball somewhere, right? So
yeah,
but varying those situations, around the green. That's why I use a poker chip, because it's very visible. It's easy to see. Just throwing a poker chip down, and because it requires you to solve all three problems. You have to start it on the right place. You got to predict the curve, and then you have to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
Right. So I go from there, and then if somebody gets a ghost hole, then you kind of add. I call it it's like a game I play with them that's called Where Should the Hole Be? And I'll give them a ghost hole and say, all right, we've hit this putt, or even before we hit it or whatever. I'll have them read it and I'll go, all right, where would the hole be, and where would it get in the way of the curve that you see get as it on its way to the poker chip. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's there's a lot of setup stuff, and we all have preferences, right? I mean, I teach a lot of biomechanics and putting as well. Hope the listeners don't think anybody's stroke's going to work, right? I mean, this guy's got a great stroke already. You know what I'm saying? It's just more of kind of what he needed in that situation. But I change a lot of postures. I'll change grips. I mean, I got older demographics, so I got a lot of trimmers. Okay, the Y word. So I'm putting people in the claw a lot. I mean, I'm just solving problems. But that's all putting is. That's why it gets me excited, because it's everything. The environment changes. Every situation's different. Green speeds, grain, whatever. Yeah, it's a puzzle.
So when you're saying that about putting that ghost hole out there and practicing putting to it, and practicing on those three things that you talk about that are important to us, is a good training routine, would you believe, would be something like, for a golfer going for that round of golf, maybe just throwing that out and going to 5 different locations and just hitting, say, 4 balls and hitting 20 balls? Would that be a good kind of practice putting routine to that?
Yeah, I would. I kind of, like I said, I let them hit 5 putts in the same spot.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So again, a big part of putting is being able to observe as best you can, really, really pay attention to what the ball's doing. Where do you think it started, which is a difficult thing to do as a golfer. We're standing to the side of the golf ball. It's tough to tell. It's easy for us as coaches. We're standing on the target line, right? So we can see whether it started or not. But just pay attention to the curve. Where did it stop? So you start to sort of organize and start to come up with solutions of all right, it wasn't high enough. It wasn't hard enough. It was too hard. That's why it didn't break. You got to teach people to sort of problem solve and reflect on what happened to the golf ball so they can adjust, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's not as much a stroke problem as it is a picture problem, in my opinion. Yeah. So the touch has to be the first thing to work on. And I'd say, I tell my members this all the time, because I give I'll give a 10-minute putting lesson, which I hate to do. But I'm like, all right, we're just going to work on touch.
Yeah.
Where can you stop it? And their touch is terrible. It's like, all right, that's the first thing. I don't care if you can start it online or not. I'm not going to help you. But I would say, I sort of put things into 3 skill buckets. Like I'll give my students like a practice plan, which is exactly how the lesson goes. Almost. It might be a little bit backwards as far as touch, but
interesting.
I call the first skill bucket is like a calibration station, right? Whatever, you use your putting mirror or use a Vizio mat, get your 6-footer with a gate or whatever, work on your stroke for 5-10 minutes, right? Get your setup keys. Like all my players know exactly how far they need to stand from the ball.
Yeah.
How far their ball position needs to be inside their lead foot. They measure that off every single time so their posture never changes.
Okay.
All right. That's another important thing. That's hard to do. It takes a little time to just measure it off on a stick, set up your station, 5 to 10 minutes. Then the second skill bucket's where you need to spend most of your time, which is your touch and your picture, your green reading and your touch. And I've got so many drills that I've got in that skill bucket, and they have, all those drills, and they need to choose 2 or 3 of them, like a leapfrog drill or, the poker chip with ghost hole or Jordan Spieth drill or whatever to work on their touch. And then the last piece, so it's kind of going basically from block practice to random practice. Then the last piece, you get 1 ball, go play 9 holes, right? It's like the Ben Hogan drill. You hit every green. What can you shoot? So now you're working on all of it, but you only get 1 chance at it.
Yeah. I like it. That's a great little practice putting routine. Mate, that's the end of the Back to Basics putting segment. Jason, thanks for that, mate. And
sure.
Support those who support the podcast. TM15, get your 15% off. They're great. They've got some really cool stuff coming out too, some extra cool stuff to help you with your putting. If it's good enough for Cam Smith, it's good enough for everyone, in my opinion. Jason, can we talk about chipping? And obviously you're friends with Joe Mayo, you're friends with, James Ridyard, and we're in a very interesting time when it comes to the short game right now in regard to, can we say, the debate? It's kind of like the debate between, there's another debate kind of going on with, I mentioned stack and tilt and athletic motion. So in the stroke side of things there, and one of my questions is geared towards, which will kind of help me understand where you're at with it as well. Can we just touch base with what you think about it? We're all nice guys. What do you think about what's going on with this conversation? Like, what do you think about it? Have you got anything to say on it?
Yeah, I got plenty to say. I probably shouldn't.
You don't have to. Don't say
too much. But I would say I hate that there's like 2 camps, right?
Yes.
Like there really doesn't need to be 2 camps.
Yes.
Because I think we're more debating, and I think, me and Joe kind of get put in a little bit of a box that like all they do is teach like low spinners, and that's not true, right? Yeah. But I would say, it's probably 75% of most players' short game diet, in my opinion, of they need to be able to hit that sort of low flighted ball first contact. Yeah. Especially where I'm from, like we've got super cranny approaches. Like if you're too shallow, when I say, and I think that's the problem too, is I think you have to define the terms, right? It's like when somebody says shallow, it's like, what's too shallow, right? So in my opinion, it's like, if it's below 5 down, like that's probably too shallow. It's like, but can you make some like 1 to 2 down work with certain conditions? Yeah, probably, but you better be really, really skilled. Okay. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I'm with Joe. Like, it's tough to argue with the math, right? The problem is the people that he has said sort of debating doesn't measure enough. I think that would probably end a lot of the discussions, because again, I got guys that, hit 12, 13 down, no divot, absolutely pure. Just had one today, 10 mini tour guy that I work with, sitting 12 down, just hitting just beautiful little low spinny shots, super slow coming out of the gate, unbelievable. But then if we go higher, we go move the ball forward, open the face. Of course, it's going to be more shallow. Yeah. Okay, but we're still, controlling the low point. I mean, I don't know. What do you want to know? I can go through all the numbers that we're looking for, but I mean, there's a lot,
The only thing in the call it the debate side of things for me that I think about, right, Jason, is yes, we have a toolbox of short game shots, right? like you said, you want to hit it high or whatever. But what you're saying is that pin in the middle of the green, 10, 15 yards off, you're rolling out of bed, you're hitting your, 10, 12 yard down shot, right? Like that's your kind of where you want, that's, for the use of a better term, home base. That's home.
I call it baseline. The baseline shot is, they're going to be flighting it, 27 to 30 degrees. They're going to be catching ball first. Low point's going to be way forward. They're not taking much divot because they're learning how to, push up and pivot and rotate and get it out of the ground. They're shaft lean. Yeah. I mean, they're delivering. I mean, these are just the facts. I mean, this is not, I'm not making this up. I measure every single day with even my member golfers. I'll measure what's going on. And, but they're turning 60-degree wedges into 42 degrees of dynamic loft. Spin loft running around, 52 to 54-ish. I mean, you can do the math. It's hard to argue with what's going on. So these guys are all doing it.
You're getting club golfers still like launching like sub 30?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day.
And
I had a big dead beginner just hitting these wonderful little chips or whatever you want to call it. I just call it short game shots, but
yeah.
I mean, they understand the biggest piece, if we want to go into the details, but the biggest piece that I think people don't realize is that slight move with the upper body or the center of mass moving towards target.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, again, all you got to do is explain to people like, here are the steeper pieces, here are the shallower pieces. And this is why, I mean, it's infallible. Like every time I get somebody that comes to me struggling with chipping, they're hitting 2 down on it and they're hitting behind the ball or they're blading it. I mean, it's just, all you do is look at the number and go, well, there you go. It's like not a coincidence.
I would agree with the poor chipper definitely being too shallow, right? Obviously we see low 100%. Point chipper line. Like I would have seen that like the like it's the rock bottom chipper who's been chipping bad for too long, who has also got a lot of scar tissue. Gosh, you're teaching them the one shot. Like let's get that ball back. Let's get you hanging forward. Like absolutely. Like it's and they're like, oh, what if I want to hit it high? I'm like, come back to me when you've done this for a month.
Well, again, it's like to keep it simple, all you do is move the ball forward and open the face a little bit, but you're still going to move the same. And we're not going to like right side bend and try to flip your wrist and scoop it up in the air. That's what got them to the place where they are now. Absolutely. Like I can build the loft into the setup and dude, they don't need a high lob shot. Right. For the most, I'm talking about the club golfer. Most of the time they don't need it. And usually they're in the rough. They can kind of scoop it up there and hit it over the bunker. But for the most part, you just need a low sort of stock shot. That's that 27 to 30-ish launch. And you need one that's a little bit higher. Because if they're trying to hit it over a bunker, they're probably made a managerial error anyways. Yes. And they just need to get it on the green and, take a bogey and move on.
It's interesting. That follow-up question with that, student, if someone asks you that, like who is a club golfer, ask me that question. I would have want to hit it high to that close pin. And I'll say, what's your handicap? And I'll say 25. And I'll say, if you chip the ball in the green, you're ahead of every 25 marker in the world. So if you like 10 out of 10 times, if this ball gets on 10 out of 10 times, this ball gets on the green, doesn't matter where it is. If this ball gets on the green 10 out of 10 times from a 25 handicap, but you're winning. You're winning every play match.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you had to tell, like if somebody came up and said, all right, well, what are the commonalities of the poor chippers? Clubs getting too far inside in the takeaway.
Yeah. Amen.
Right. A lot of right side bend, lead wrist starts extending super early. I mean, you can start right there. Just fix those 3 things.
Okay.
Right. And you can get them chipping it decent.
What about if you're teaching, do you blend in any like what about the high shot? Like hitting like a high lofted shot, like it might be ground first. Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What are you seeing around that?
Yeah, so that would be more, again, when I was having that discussion with my mini tour guy today, and I was like, all right, he's like, he mentioned Mayo or something because he was just joking around. He's like, that Mayo would have loved that one. I'm like, I like that one pretty good too. But so we went from hitting the kind of just the stock little low checker, and then like, all right, let's go upstairs. And so we just moved the ball a little more in the middle of the stance. I might widen the feet a touch, right? So still, give us a little bit more base. You go from like having the handle up on the low one to dropping the handle slightly. I'm still going to have sort of a neutral spine angle because, again, you still got to control low point. I think when we talk about hitting the ground first, we're not hitting 2 inches behind it, okay? Let's be honest. We're hitting like under the ball, okay?
Yeah.
It's the difference between the low point being like 4 inches, 5 inches ahead to like being a couple ahead, and you're actually making a little bit of ground and ball contact almost the same time.
Yeah.
You can throw the camera on, and I guarantee you that's pretty close to what you're going to see. So in that situation, I will have them just stay centered with their upper body as opposed to moving too far left.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm never going to let somebody hang back.
No way.
Drive their legs and drop their head back. That's going to be a disaster. That's when you hit it in the forehead and you hit home runs over the green.
I will say someone who is in the debate, and I saw him post a video, and he said that it's rubbish that good players, when they chip, don't go forward and lead side. And I literally, I can tell you the moment I saw it, I was sitting on the can here, right? And I texted to all my mates and I said, I started teaching short game, right? Like that was my, where I started, and people had trouble. They'd send their players to me because I had a good short game. And I found that, just give us a bit of credibility here, but when I played, I was playing, on the mini tours, whatever, around here, I wouldn't call it mini tours, like pro-ams or whatever. And people would come to me for help because I was chipping well. And I'm like, this is what I found. This is what I think the good guys are doing. Like, it's not what people are saying. This is what I think people are doing. They're going forward. They're coming back up. This is like 15 years ago, right? And I started teaching a lot of people who'll be listening to this podcast, that type of stuff. Anyways, and I saw that. And I texted to all my mates and said, I can't believe this. Like, I watch chipping enough and I see them all doing it, like all on that shot. Anyways, I was blown away.
I learned that from, way before Mayo started talking about it. James Ridyard, his research, because he was putting good players on 3D.
Yeah.
And this was 10, 12 years ago. And he was talking about their upper body moves 2 to 4 inches towards target with 100%. The best short game players. 100%. And that always stuck with me because I was the opposite. I was a pretty good chipper, but I had to have a massive amount of like shaft lean because I would tip back a little bit. And I've learned, dude, I can flat rip it now. Like it's unbelievable just with that little bit of information because I'm demonstrating for players and I'll put them up against, their swing and my swing. And they're like, oh, wow, you're actually moving a little bit left and I'm going the other way. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually going to put the text feature out there. You can text the podcast. I sort of think you can do that. If you disagree or agree, let me know down below. But I just draw the line. If any of my coach friends send me someone's chipping or they're struggling, I just draw a line outside the lead side of their head. And if they make space in the backswing, because you're talking before about the upper center then's moving off the ball. If they make space in that backswing away from the flag, it's all over.
It's a tough place to be.
And when you talk about the centers there, so the sternum over the center of the pelvis, it's the first thing I have a short game school and I get everyone together and have a 3-hour intensive short game class. And the first thing I talk about, it's like, if you can keep your buttons on top of your sternum, I don't care if you have to have your shoulders 15 degrees open to get comfy because how they're like, I can't do that. I can't, I'm in too much right side bend. The buttons are back here. Like, I need you to get those buttons in front or on top of your pelvis. If you have to have them 10 degrees open and moving forward, okay, if you can learn to control that, you are going to be a mile better chipper. Anyway.
That's what I've been seeing a lot lately too with my member golfers is they know they need to have weight forward, so they'll shift their hips. Okay, so that lead hip will go, and then their upper body tips back, right? Because they're getting their weight. It's a bit more pressure. Okay, so that's where back to I think I know the text you're talking about. The center of mass has to get closer to the center of pressure. Okay. It's not the golf swing. We're not talking about full swing here. Much different. But that it's almost, I try to keep their hips underneath their upper body, like you said, and show them literally, I'll grab them and say, okay, this is what left bend feels like for a right-handed player. This is what right bend, this is you. Yeah. And then I'll put them in there. And when you put it on video, it looks just dead straight up and down, right? So they're pretty much neutral with their spine, but you got to give them a chance. Yeah. Right. You get them there, get the ball back a touch and then get the handle up. They got half a chance to hit a good shot.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And I really feel like, I couldn't believe when I saw it. So what numbers are you seeing when you're teaching that high softy one though? Like you said there, handle back, feet a little wider. handle lower, ball forward, feet wider base. Still keeping your centers, obviously. That's a principle, right? That's got to stay.
Yeah, you're right. You still have to control low point. So like if you tip back, you just can't affect that, right? You can't, like, we're not going to hit 3 inches behind it. We hope not to. Again, like the tack angle goes down. Like, if I got a guy that's normally chipping it at whatever, 9, 10, 11, it goes down to 4, 5, 6-ish, right? Yeah. I mean, we're adding some loft, and in that situation, if they can demonstrate that they can still make decent contact, I will allow the feeling of a little bit of overtaking of the club head and the handle.
Yeah.
Which is not, basically all we're doing is we're taking some shaft lean out.
Yeah.
It's never going to back up. Okay. Good players tour players aren't going to back the handle up. It's just not possible. Right. Yeah. So it just goes from 15 to maybe, 6, 7, 8 or something. It's more neutral-ish, but still got to have a little shaft lean. Cause again, people got to understand shaft lean is what controls the low point.
Yeah.
It's a huge piece of it. But you're adding much more loft, and then you get, whatever high 30s, maybe even 40 degrees of launch, right? Which is fine.
Yeah. I was thinking about it a couple of days ago. I want to do short game schools for the good player. I was going to call it short game 2.0, but I think I'm going to produce a short game 2.0 school. But for the good player, where I can get them in there and just teach them the 6. I have 6 shots that I try to teach, high friction, low friction, high shots, all different types of flights and stuff. I think that'd be really fun, because it's really fun to get there talking to good players about this stuff, because they could do it. You can say do this, and they're like,
100%.
You're like, do that. Poof. And you're like, man, that's so fun just watching them do that. Where when you've sometimes in the short game schools where you're teaching the club golf and they just need to get that club on the back of the ball, it's do this. But yeah, it's a lot of fun teaching all those different types of shots, right?
That was probably the biggest gains early on when I worked with McGirt the first couple of years, was the short game. Because he's not a very long hitter, for tour standards. So, we sort of set goals of okay, we've got to keep our putting stats up, and we got to be really good around the greens, good with the wedges, and we got to, be smart with our strategy. So, but he had that whole mindset, because he had never, it's kind of shocking that he's had a lot of great coaches before me. Never really had any short game instruction. Believe that. So when I told him dude, you're way too shallow, he's like, he looked at me like I had 2 heads. I mean, when he first started with me, he's hitting 3, 4 down. He goes, why can't I, why is the ball floating and running up the face, and I can't control my distance? And as soon as we start, now I can get him hitting 10, 12 down on it. And his short game is amazing. I'll put him up against anybody on tour, inside Incredible. 50 yards. It's so good.
That's great work.
Had to sell it to him but we're measuring every lesson. So he understands the results and what it feels like.
Do you think that's one of the most frustrations for a good player, is when that ball rolls up the face on a chip shot?
100%.
Isn't it? When you said it, I just got the shivers through my spine.
Yeah. And what happens is, again, and it could happen being steep too, because like I said, a big part of it we haven't really talked about is when that thing comes out of the top, that handle has to start moving up and left.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people if you actually do have shaft lean, which a lot of members don't, if the handle goes down for too long, then the club's going to go into the ground. You're going to hit the ball first, but the club's going to go into the ground too much, and you actually are going to hit it in the middle of the face. Okay. Which in my opinion is a bad way to slow the ball down, right? So ball speed goes up, smash factor goes up.
Yes.
We want the thing coming out ideally, our best shots are going to come out of the low toe.
Yes.
Okay. Because we're pushing, we're turning, and we're standing up, and we're ripping that handle left and up. So if you look at a face on view, video, just put dots on the top of the handle, and your best chippers, and you guys have to watch this on YouTube, your best chippers, that low area is going to basically be well before you hit the ball, and it's going to start curving up. It'll kind of go like this. Okay. When you see that thing go down for too long, that's where you get sometimes it may happen if you got an uphill slope or something, there's no choice. You may stick it in the ground after the ball. But if you want to hit a really crisp, nippy, high friction shot, you got to learn to get that thing out of the floor by getting the body and get the handle to curve up and left.
you touched on a real nugget there, right? I remember watching some stuff with like Dr. Rob Neal, like 3D expert, and he was talking about how Luke Donald, I think it's Luke Donald, I apologize for the player if it's not, was mishitting the chips on purpose to get more spin and come off softer. And you mentioned there about hitting out of the toe. Can you explain that further?
Yeah, well, again, if we want it coming out low, we want it spinning, but we want it coming out slow, right? And the way you measure fast or slow is just smash factor, ball speed divided by club head speed, right? So we want that smash factor to be under 1 on those little shots.
Incredible.
Like I got guys that can get it down into like 0.72, 0.74, and it's coming out just super, super slow and just stopping on a dime. The ones that they hit and like a little bit too much up into the center of the face. That's why I think several years ago, Bob Vokey got smart, probably listening to a lot of tour players of like their feels, and he moved the center of gravity of the wedge higher. Okay. So the farther you hit the strike point is from the center of gravity, the slower the ball is going to come out.
Yes. And then what you're saying there on the smash factor, right? For people listening, like we're hitting it at, you're saying that some of those guys hit at 0.7, which is incredible. And they're still getting clean contact and ripping the shit out of it. Like it's not like it's not like a toe shank. But when you talk about their impact location, it's fascinating, isn't it? So inside about 50 yards or 80 yards, are you kind of looking for impact location to be like 15 millimeters? I don't know what you use, 15 millimeters down on the face. Do you look at that closely? Does that come up when
you just put the club head strike point up on the TrackMan.
Yeah, okay, get on TrackMan.
You can look at it. Yeah, and you can look at it. I don't have a measurement of like what I want. I just know what I see.
Good players.
With the strike point. And there's nothing wrong with hitting out of the middle. Don't get me wrong, okay? It's just going to come out a little faster, and you got to sort of adjust your landing area for that or whatever. It's not the worst thing in the world to hit it out of the center of the club face. I just hate when it comes out of the heel. Like, you see a lot of that with little short game shots. Guys are hitting it out of the shaft for a variety of reasons. But, I just find it, kind of low toe again, because, again, it's high friction, right? So you're not getting a lot of grass in between the ball and the club. If you got a reasonably good tight lie, you're getting like Derek Dominski. I just had him on the show the other day. He was talking about high friction situations. It'd be like hitting it off a tee would be their highest friction situation. He teaches that spin classes or whatever. Yeah. So we're just trying to get as least amount of, stuff in between the ball and the club. And another thing for your listeners is just always, when you're practicing, bring a towel, making sure that, your club face is dry and clean. Yeah. And the balls, obviously not wet. Can't help that if you're playing in damp conditions, but keeping your club. You always see tour players out there with a stick and a towel. They're cleaning their club face every single time. So that's important.
I just ordered, Jason, for my short game school. I do 6 or 8 people at a time. I just ordered 8 brushes. They're in the back of my car. In my short game
there you
bag.
Go. Perfect.
So 8 brushes, going to fill them up with water and put them in each bay for them. I thought that would be nice because it's interesting because it was kind of like the old iron cover thing back in the day when we were kids, right? Like you'd never have a brush hanging off you or whatever. Like it was like a bum bag or, it was like a male contraceptive pill, right? You're never going to pick up chicks with a brush hanging off your thing. But now
everybody's got them.
Oh, everyone's got one hanging off, like I see my man Trav and my mate Trav, and he's just always got one every shot. It's crazy. Mate, you've been so amazing with the time. I want to let you go. Jason, actually, I've got one more question for you, and it might make you smile.
I got time.
It might make you smile. If you had a billboard...
I love it. Flipping it around on me.
That could be seen by the entire world. That would help, humanity or whatever you'd like to say. What would you like to have written on that billboard that everyone could see?
Oh, man. I wish I had a better answer because I actually... Got flipped it around the other night. Well, I'm a big quote guy. So like one of my favorite quotes, and there's a lot of them, but it was by a personal development guy, Zig Ziglar. If anybody's ever old school guy, he's passed away. Great guy. But I always in my speeches when I do presentations a lot of times with this quote, it's if you can help as many other people get what they want, you can have everything you want in life if you're interested. So,
If you're interested.
I would say for my second billboard is just try to be a servant leader, right? Try to think about how to help people around you, and not in the way to get things back, because that's not why we do nice things for other people or we help people, but it's basically because of who we become as a person when we do things for other people and having that mindset. And that was something I learned a long time ago that kind of held true for me, and is the way I kind of live my life.
I love that. And you're also, I think, one of the biggest, a lot of the spirituality books that I read in regard to what you said there is like expectations, right? Don't lower the expectations of other people or what you expect in return for what you may be doing. And I love that leader quote too. That's fantastic. And I think a lot of leaders could really take that on board, right? I mean,
most people answer to my show is like, be kind to one another, that's kind of like cliche, but I would say to the people out there is like, you don't know what that person's been through and the day that they've had, right? And we can apply this to our teaching a lot of times too, is you don't know what's walking in our door. Yeah. That person may have just gotten a speeding ticket. That person might just had a bad morning at work. He's fighting with his wife or something. Yeah. You just don't know, the mindset of people. And then usually they end up lashing out and, putting that on other people. So give people a little bit of grace. Don't judge too early before you kind of figure out, why they're acting the way they are. So yeah, and we can all be a little nicer to each other.
It's interesting. Yeah. Because well, I've got 3 little kids, right? So I see some of their behavior patterns that come out from where they're acting. And I know if I'm patient enough, I know I can find out where it's coming from before I get cranky dad on. But, hey, Jay, is there anything that you'd like to share with us in regard to, like, people can follow you on your socials, where I put down below? People love to go listen to your podcast. It's fantastic to listen to.
I mean, I've been posting a lot more on TikTok, honestly. Yeah. TikTok. So I'm trying to get my TikTok game up. I'm not doing swing tips like everybody's doing that, right? I've been there, done that. I'd started, I did hundreds of swing tips on YouTube when it was first developed in 2009. Shows you how old I am. But that's where Guru TV came from. That's the TV.
The TV part.
I had a show. Yeah, I had a show called Guru TV where we would do that, and people would, ask questions on Twitter, and before Instagram was even developed. So, that's nice. So I'm doing more like sort of confessionals, like I call like Guru's Thought of the Day, and I always, I post like swing videos and stuff that I always do on Instagram, but I'm trying to like share more of like personal development stuff and books that I'm reading, or just something interesting, or just a thought for people to kind of chew on. So let's get that TikTok numbers up a little bit.
I will. I'll put that down below.
It's Golf Guru on TikTok. It's Golf Guru TV on Instagram. It's just Golf Guru on TikTok.
That's awesome. I'll put all that down below for sure. It's I've got a TikTok account, but my assistant, she just puts the Instagram stuff on there, and because I had the app, but man, I just get it just like I just scroll. I'm like, oh man, there's an hour gone, man.
It's addictive. I know.
I could have been reading a book or something, like
I know it's a problem. Yeah, I call it getting in the vortex. The TikTok vortex can get you, and next thing you know, you don't know where you're at. But
I feel Instagram I can put it down quicker, but TikTok for some reason, man, it just hammers me. Mate, you've been fantastic with your time, and I'm just so grateful to have you on, mate. It was fascinating, and we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate what you're doing, and thanks so much for having me. And it was great to meet you, and let me know if I can help you in any way. I'm sure we'll keep up and keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, mate.